Hi guys, Chris with the Gap Toledo. Today's story, I don't have to change the name for anonymity. It's my story. I think it's an important story to tell because I was in the Gap at that point. This story takes place about 6 years ago. I was living in this house with a very good friend of mine, actually someone I consider family, who's helped out a lot of people out here struggling. I had lived here for a time, on and off, in and out, used drugs heavily in this house. The person who owns the house had told me, it's time to go, Chris. So I was out looking for places to stay, and I ended up finding a place to stay, sober living, but I couldn't get in for a few days. At that point, I had been sober for I think about a week, and I made the very wise choice that I was gonna drink and smoke some crack. So I drank a pint of Crown Roos and ended up scoring a 20 of crack. Did the whole thing at once, blasted off, was walking through the house, ended up in this room right here, and I wasn't supposed to be there. And the owner of the house came home, and me in my paranoid state decided it was a good idea to climb out of the window, jump onto the roof, and open the window on this side, and climb in. So I was in the place where I was supposed to be. So I climbed out onto the window ledge and jumped over, and my foot got caught on the window as I jumped out. And you can actually still see my handprints there. I fell about between 20 feet, and landed on my head and neck. Paramedics were called. I was taken to the hospital, where I was informed, because of course I had just spoke up, that I had broken my neck. Now I didn't know I was in Toledo still. I had no clue where I was, but I wasn't feeling any pain still until they took me in to get my MRI. When that thing started shaking, I started to come to and realize the severity of what had happened. I had broken my neck, and this was the second time I had broken my neck. I had broken my 1 and my 2. I had punctured my lungs, ripped my kidneys, ripped my liver. This finger and this finger were pointing 2 different opposite directions. I had 2 cracks in my skull as well. I was in really, really bad shape. The triage I can remember that I was in, I was the only conscious person there. And then started, the path to recovery. I can remember in the hospital bed, laying there, a nurse came in, who I'm very grateful for today, who then I didn't like too well, who made me get up and walk around. The most painful experience in my life. Apparently they do that so your muscles don't atrophy from laying in the bed. I spent about 1 week at that hospital, and I was moved to rehabilitation to another hospital. It just so happens that hospital I had been at a week prior, saying I was going to kill myself because I was running from a parole officer, and I knew I would test dirty. So they took me to this hospital for rehabilitation, and they had a nurse sit in the room with me because, a week prior I said I was going to kill myself, and then I jumped off a roof in a cloud of narcotics. Crazy time. I spent about another week in there, got out, and immediately started shooting dope again. That was, I think, the real beginning to my recovery. It was about 2 months of that I spent back at this house. God bless the person who owns this house. They helped me bathe, they helped me do everything. And in return, I shot dope in his house and rolled it till the wheels fell off. That's about the time I made it into the Salvation Army, that February. This story is just a perfect example of what's out there for people in the Gap. We go back to what we know most. And the most damage is usually done in the interim periods before we get into treatment. I can definitely say that's how it was in my case. So thanks for coming out again, guys. Hope you like the story. See you next week.